Sean Payton, the head coach of the surprisingly 5-3 Denver Broncos, who, by the way, their defense is awesome in Denver. And Sean Payton with Bo Nix as a rookie quarterback sitting there at 5-3. Apparently there were some people, most notably Carolina Panthers, who were not happy, thinking that they were running up the score on Sunday. And so Sean Payton spoke about it at his news conference this week.
Which after the game, a number of Panthers players that were frustrated, felt like you were running the score up.
I know.
How do you respond to that?
Listen, I said it last night. We're trying to finish the game the right way. We're not trying to run up the score on anyone. It's the National Football League. I've been in games with a 28-point lead in the fourth quarter and lost. So we're trying to finish. The Burton throw from Sutton is trying to continue a drive. Play better.
That's right. Play better. No
simple.
Excuses.
That's simple.
I mean, here's the reality, too. I'm all for sportsmanship. But we've also seen teams that are like running the football when they're beating the crap out of a team and the opponent's not even stopping the run. And guys are ripping off 40, 50-yard runs. So, you know, I don't know that you can read so much into the play calls as he just kind of touched on. He's like, hey, we're trying to continue a drive. At times, yeah, there's going to be a shot play involved or something else. That's not us trying to necessarily always run up the score. You know, let's say you're 60 yards from the end zone. There's no play in the playbook that has the ball outside of a Hail Mary going 60 yards in it by design. You know, usually most go balls are up and down somewhere between 38 yards to 44 yards downfield on average, right? That's about the timing and that's about where the ball is going to be placed. So it's not by design. But the general point is they all paid, man. They're all paid. It's not Sean Payton's job to worry about whether or not the Carolina Panthers can, you know, field a competitive team when they match up, or any other NFL team for that matter. So everyone's getting paid. They're all under contract too. They're all big boys. They can handle it. No one should be bitching and moaning about that.
Yeah, it just kind of comes back to the conversation we had earlier where you talked about where we're at culturally, where we're at societally, right? Everybody needs to get a trophy, you know, mental toughness. Like those, you touched on so many great points on your conversation, your statement earlier, and I think it applies here. Like, why even ask that question? Why even imply that? This is the pros. It's the pros. Like, I mean, okay, we want to say sportsmanship. Like, okay, sportsmanship in what way? Because I'm okay with sportsmanship as it applies to playing within the parameters of the rules of the game. But as it applies to getting touchdowns, putting points up on the board, and making sure that your team is executing and operating at its highest level, that's the only concern. That's the only focus. So, like, where does a question like that even resonate from? Who asks a question or who puts that out there? They were running up the score on us? Like, come on, man. That sounds weak cheese if you ask me.
It's also, look, Denver's been bad. Like, they're still trying to recover from the Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett experiment, whatever the hell that was. And Sean Payton's trying to, like, you know, create an identity and a culture
he is.
there. Yeah.
And he is.
So why is it his job that while they're trying to grow and build an identity and a culture,
let me stop and worry about the other team.
Listen, you know, we want to make sure David Tepper's guys are feeling good about themselves afterwards.
Hey, guys, let's not score again.
Take it up with your owner that threw battery acid at a fan at a Jaguars game last year, like, and complained about some guy's hat.
I'm pretty sure
water, battery acid. We're splitting hairs here. The point is, Carolina stinks, and it's not Sean Payton's fault.
Running up the score in the league. I didn't heard it all, man. I didn't heard it all.
Bro, I remember being in Seattle during preseason, and Pete Carroll saying the same thing. I mean, at that point, you know, everyone on the roster is pretty much playing. And his whole speech was always like, it's not our job to worry about if they are prepared to come out and play. He goes, I don't care if you're the first string, second string, third string. You go in there, we're putting our foot on the gas. We're not letting off at any point in time. Bro, that was for preseason games. And, like, that was the mentality. Like, we were taking shots, trying to blow dudes out in the preseason. Now, granted, they went on to win the Super Bowl that year, which that's not surprising based on the mentality that he took to things. But also, think about this. And I remember talking to a coach a couple of years ago who had just taken over. I'm not going to say, what school, but one of these things he said was, he goes, you got to kind of always have the mentality where we're going to try to blow a team out. And he goes, and the reason why I say that is there's so many times where you can be as prepared as you want to be. You can be situational and ready and aware and feel good about your game plan for those like crucial 2-minute end of game, third down scenarios to extend a drive and to have a shot at like field goal or points or whatever. He goes, you could feel amazing about it. He goes, but the reality is sometimes it's just unlucky. Like you're going to get a bad call. You're going to get, something's going to happen where you're not going to be able to execute. And he said, if you're constantly playing those tight games like that, he goes, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some too. And he goes, and so the nice thing is when you're blowing teams out, you have to worry about any of that. He goes, so too many times teams kind of take this conservative approach, and he's like, I don't understand why. Like, you want to try to blow out as many teams as possible, so you have to worry about those end-of-game scenarios, those tight game scenarios, and those 1, 2, or 3 games that you do have, where you have to worry about whether or not we're going to execute in those moments, right? Because you can be as prepared as you want as a coach. He's like, ultimately it comes down to the player, 18 to 24, 25-year-olds nowadays. He's like, it's still kind of a question mark as to whether or not they can get it done. And so a lot of that logic applies, I think, to some of these NFL teams too, is if you can eliminate, especially at the end of game scenarios where like a Hail Mary or a deep shot with defensive pass interference can put you in position to score and take over a game, it's a much safer approach. And then Sean Payton's talked about losing a game in the fourth quarter, being up 4 scores or whatever he said. Let's not forget too, this is a Denver Broncos defense that at times had given up a ton of points last year. So I'm sure they're like, you know what? This is our year now, the way our defense is playing, where this team's playing. We're going to blow out some folks too. So thank you for the 70 burger or whatever it was last year. We're going to try to get to that number this year because people were laughing at us now. Now who's laughing?
Their defense, number 1 in the league in yards per play. Awesome.
At what point do you say, you know what? Whatever we do from here on out, we're running up the score. And at what point or what do you do? What type of offense do you run? What are you giving as a product to the fans? What do you do in the situation of, we don't want to run up the score on them? How does that look? At what point in the quarter does that take place?
There were some people that complained.
What plays do you run?
All right, there's some people that complain kneel downs. Just kneel it
down
for 4.5 minutes.
And then give them the ball back.
Yeah.
Kneel it down and then give them the ball back.
Listen, guys, don't want to take any chances.
And then so now you kneel it 3 times. You punt the ball away. They get the ball. What does the team do? What do they do? Are they trying to score?
Of course.
Okay, so they're trying to score.
Yeah.
But you're not trying to run the score up. But they're trying to score.
You have to kneel.
I'm just trying to understand.
You have to take a knee, not them.
I'm just really trying to understand how does that all work?
There were some people that thought that the Lions were running it up on the Cowboys in their matchup, and it's like,
I just don't understand that.
Okay, hold on a second.
I don't understand the mentality of saying that you're running it up. What does that even mean?
Were the Saints also running it up on the Cowboys? Were the Packers in the playoff game running it up on the Cowboys? Now, maybe just Dallas stinks at home lately. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe this is one of those conversations like in the sporting world, in the gaming world, right? It's called skunking. Skunk, right? If you get up by 21 points, game's over. Like, let's just make that a rule for football games. If a team gets up 21 points on you, the game is immediately over. There you go. Yeah. Bam. There we go. Go to highlights.
No running clock.
Go to the next game.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, what is running it up? How is that considered sportsman? In fact, it's sportsmanship to whoop and whomp somebody's ass if they're not stopping you. That is sportsmanship. It's not sportsmanship to be like, we're beating up on you, so we're winning this game by so much. Like, let's just degrade you, right? Let's belittle you. Let's embarrass you by showing everybody that we're doing absolutely nothing to be competitive against you from this moment on.
Yeah.
Which one is it? I mean, you pick your poison. I'd rather you whoop my ass for 4 quarters and we have to live with that feeling so that we take that into the next week of practice and say, I don't want to feel that way anymore, versus you really want me to throttle down on you.
Sympathy.
The sympathy movement? Come on, man. That's wild cheese to me. Like, whoop my ass. I had to watch my son's team get their asses whooped last week. And he was not slowing down. And I was sitting there looking at it like, hell of a call. Man, if you in the zone, you getting good calls, hell of a call, hell of a play. He's running hard. He's catching the ball. They're doing well. Bam, run with it. You playing the game. You prepare for 4 quarters and sometimes 5. Let's go. Sit there complaining, especially the pros. You sitting there complaining about some goddamn you ran the score up? I've never heard of it. It's like we're in a new day and age, man. It's new time.